And ESPN went and they talked to kind of a little brain trust of, experts. Jeremy Fowler, Louis Riddick, Seth Walder, and Fielder Yates. And they asked them to rate each team's quarterback situation, remaining roster, obviously outside of the quarterback, drafting ability, front office, and coaching using a scale, basically like a scoring scale that you see in school. 100 points, 90, or 100 is an A plus, 90 is an A, 80 is a B, 70 is average, 60 is very bad, and 50 and below is disastrous, right? But with that being the case, they went and they did this over what these teams would look like, what the roster would look like over the next 3 seasons. So It's not just this year, it's a future ranking to kind of get an idea of not just where these teams are now, but kind of where they're trending. So with that being the case, KG, Kevin Gray Jr., I want you to give me your best guess as to where the Dallas Cowboys are ranked for the next 3 years on these power rankings.
The next 3 seasons. Okay.
Understanding that, again, it's about quarterback situation, overall roster outside of the quarterback, coaching, draftability, and front office.
I'm going to go for the Cowboys. Something's telling me to go 15.
Okay.
Number 15 for the Cowboys.
Ruben, do you want to take a guess here or guess? Guess. That's the word.
Be a guest and take a guess.
There we go.
What was the question?
1 through 30. Name a number 1 through 30.
Now. No, I'm just no.
At this
Is
point.
Jeopardy or what?
No. So where the Dallas Cowboys rank? 20th of 32 in the NFL in the future rankings for the next 3 years. How does that initial number sound to you?
That doesn't sound great.
Sure, that's fair.
That doesn't sound great because you're in the bottom half.
But does it feel some level of accurate to you, or do you feel like that's wrong? Because basically what? You're sitting in your bottom half, but you're at the bottom part of that second, third, or am I doing math wrong? I'm doing math wrong.
Yeah, that's a lot of math.
Something like that.
That doesn't feel good because you think the quarterback situation will remain stable for at least the next 3 years because, unless something catastrophic happens to Dak Prescott and he forgets how to play football, he's going to be the quarterback around here for a while. You're hopefully banking on the idea that Micah Parsons is going to be here for the next 3 years as well. CeeDee Lamb continues to take the next steps and he'll remain here. Trayvon Diggs the same. All those guys are going to be having contracts within that 3-year window to remain here. I guess where that starts to get a little iffy is if, let's say, Dan Quinn, finds another job and takes a head coaching job somewhere else and doesn't remain the defensive coordinator here in Dallas, or he takes over as the new head coach of the Cowboys, given maybe some instability that happens this year, and then all of a sudden you got to get rid of Mike McCarthy. I still think that's a little low given some of the talent that they have on this team at some of the core spots with, Dak, Micah, Trayvon, CeeDee Lamb, and what they have there when it comes to this team.
All right, so like I said, the things that were coming to mind, like you said, 682, this person said, sounds legit. They did take into account front office aptitude, right? And yes, that's part of what makes this interesting. You were talking about the quarterback situation, and you're right. That does seem a little stable. And with that being the case, their score was an 87, a B+, if you will, which ranked 9th in the NFL. So their quarterback situation, according to this brain trust, is 9th best in the NFL over the next 3 seasons. Sound about fair?
It sounds about right.
All right.
Okay.
The overall roster outside of that quarterback is good for 78, a C+ in this instance, which ranks 20th. So that's one of those things where you were kind of talking about, and you were like, the rest of this roster is 20th is where that ranks.
Okay.
Outside of that, this is interesting because the coaching situation over the next 3 seasons, remind you, 67.
So that sounds like some real instability when it comes to Mike McCarthy then.
31st is where they're ranking the coaching situation for
Which
this
tells me
team.
they have him firmly on the hot seat this year.
So let me read you a little bit of the blur before we talk about their drafting and their front office ranking. Why they're here, the Cowboys have a lot of foundational pieces in their roster that bring significant optimism, like you were talking about. Prescott, Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, list goes on. But the theme has persisted for too long, as their rank in this list reflects too many years of falling short of expectations. And while coaching hot seats are a conversation usually better reserved for midseason, Mike McCarthy is firmly there right now, right? So with that being the case, the biggest worry that they list is the story remains the same when it comes to coaching, situational football, clock management, taking full advantage of the tactics from your personnel and what you have at your disposal. And all of that is on McCarthy. If Dallas is not better in those areas in 2022, likely they have a new coach in 2023. There's a lot of question marks there, and then boom. So that's how you get to 31st. That still feels unfair to put that as the 31st best situation, but that's why they kind of situated it this here. Now, to give you the full picture before we just break this down entirely for the Cowboys, their draft ability. What would you rank their draft ability? Just like on that 100-point score, A plus, A, B, C, where are you thinking?
I'm going to give them an 85.
A B, just a flat B.
Yeah.
This brain trust gave them a 76. Good for 21st in the league. Okay. How do you feel about that?
I think that's a little low because I think they've hit on a lot of these guys over the last, you think about the last 5, 6, 7 years. They've done pretty well when it comes to, their drafting. It's about the guys that they actually decide to keep once they draft them. But I thought draft-wise, they've done fairly well for themselves over the last several years.
All right, so now front office.
I knew you was in.
Well, look, I just want to get an idea of where your opinion stands versus like this brain trust here.
A 70.
77 is where they put this good for 23rd. So with that being the case, like all these things together.
So they have the front office aptitude higher than the draft ability?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Which is funny because when you separate those things out, I think one of the things that people will use as a defense of this front office is their drafting. So when you separate those things out, it's kind of interesting that somehow the front office doesn't take a knock for that. But overall, over the next 3 years, ESPN and this brain trust is saying that the Cowboys have the 20th best outlook over the next 3 seasons. And I just find that wild. Some of this just feels unfair, right? I don't think the coaching situation is as bad as currently situated there. Like the idea, I think if you get rid of Mike McCarthy, it does seem like Dan Quinn is a high likelihood. And then Sean Payton, and both of those guys would at least be a top half of the league coach, to be fair. Like, is that fair?
Sure, yeah. Especially in Payton's case. Quinn, I think, provides the stability based on how this defensive unit has performed last year and what we think will be another good unit this year. So the continuity, I think, is what is really intriguing for Quinn if he does become the head coach of this team after this upcoming season.
So yeah, like I'm wildly fascinated by the fact that the Cowboys are viewed that poorly, and I don't even know if that jives with the thought process of a lot of people around Cowboys Nation. Because would you say that it's fair to categorize the thought process of Cowboys fans that this is a team that they think is okay, but not good, not great, just kind of okay?
Yeah, I think the anticipation for this season is not nearly as high as it's been over the last several years, especially going into last season, knowing the kind of star power that you had on this team. And if the defense was any measure of good, this team could be really good. And they were, and they still disappointed in the first round. The level of apathy, I think, coming out of the playoff game was at an all-time low.
But again, that feels like apathy for the playoffs, right? It feels like,
which is what this organization
but it doesn't.
Striving for.
I don't think that anybody feels like this organization gets to a place where they're not around that playoff contention and sitting in the playoff, just not getting deep in the playoffs, which 20th outlook over the next 3 seasons doesn't feel to accurately convey.
Yeah, because you were talking about the 20th outlook for these teams. That means they're not going to be a playoff team. It feels like for the next few years based on what they're talking about there. I'm interested in some of the other teams that have maybe some better outlooks than the Cowboys, because that's a little depressing. I'm not going to lie to you. Talking about the 20th outlook.
Well, okay, let me give you a little positivity from the Cowboys per this, and then we can bounce around and see where some of these other teams stand. What could change for the better?
Okay.
Groom Lamb up for top 10 receiver status. He's on his way. If you cultivate that relationship with Lamb and Prescott, reinforce the aging offensive line, which, that's something where over the next 3 years, I can understand how you look at the offensive line and go, that's just a ticking time bomb. And once you lose your pillars of Zach Martin and Tyron Smith, you could be.
They may have to go that whole, Martin, Frederick, Smith type of thing where they, a run of offensive linemen for a few years in a row to try and rebuild this thing to the draft.
If you prepare for life after Dalton Schultz, who won't be eager to sign an extension, Dallas didn't make a spirited effort to resign him. But if you get that done, they feel like that could change for the better. Like have an idea of life after Dalton Schultz, which I think that they already have. It's just not something that'd be inspired to the fan base. And then cultivate Lamb, which it feels like they're already there, right? So with that, all that being the case, the Cowboys over the next 3 years, according to this, have the 20th best outlook. What other teams would you be interested in seeing how the outlook over the next 3 seasons supposedly looks.
Let's look at the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, given the fact that they put all the stuff around Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, the Eagles are ranked at 15, the overall score being an 80.5.
Okay.
So where they're getting big booms, big pluses for this offense, for this team, front office is ranked 5th. Their drafting is ranked 7th, and I wonder how much that's recency bias. And then the overall roster, which I think a lot of people have praised them for the way that this roster is constructed, is 10th. Where they're getting dinged a little bit. Coaching is 19th, and quarterback situation over the next 3 years where you have a guy you're not even sure is going to make it through this year.
Right.
Is ranked 25th.
Okay.
So that's the thing that holds them back. But other than that, it seems like teams or like these national media members feel very strongly about the organization of the Philadelphia Eagles, even if they don't feel strong about the coach and quarterback.
Let's go with this from the 682 because I'm intrigued by this one as well. The Jets, Jets. Where is their outlook over the next?
Their outlook sits right next to the Cowboys, which I wonder how you feel about
Wait,
that. Ranked
what?
21st in outlook over the next 3 seasons because they're trending up after multiple seasons, but they need to see if Zach Wilson becomes like a player for real.
And not that kind of player either.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I forgot about that recent story that came out. Yeah, maybe not that type of player. But yes, so the biggest worry is that while they've done well, as well as any team, while in the offseason, they don't know if Saleh and his staff are the right coaching crew to get the maximum return out of this roster. And also, they just don't know about Wilson, particularly in that division, that city, which we always talk about what New York City is. So they need to see if Zach Wilson is capable of being a quarterback in this league, which I think is a fair question to ask. But yeah, they're not really getting any love. They're in the 20s and everything except drafting, which is a 10 around the league.
Okay. So I like Robert Saleh as a coach. I think he brings.
I'm not gonna pretend I watched them. Like I just haven't seen enough. I don't think there's anything that you could look at and go, all right, there's definitely proof of concept. It's just been too blank of a slate.
Well, yeah, they've had so far to climb to even get to any kind of measure of credibility in that organization. But I think he is the right man to get them there eventually. But the Jets and the Cowboys neck and neck when it comes to outlook for the next 3 years, that is depressing.
And just to give you the other team that they're sandwiched around, ranked 19th is the Minnesota Vikings. Right, so like I just as much as I get you right from the 940, stop overrating the Cowboys. We need better consistency. I hear you. I just don't think that they are nearly as low when it comes to like the outlook of the next few seasons. I think that they compete better than these teams that are listed around them, the Jets and the Vikings. They will absolutely underperform what they're capable of at times, but I don't think that then makes them the 20th. Or would say that they have the 20th best outlook.
Yeah, because the talent, I think, for the Cowboys is better than the Jets and the Vikings to where they should be a little bit higher than that. But, I mean, again, we're talking about the next 3 years, not just in the immediate right now. That's depressing right next to the Jets. Anything mentioned next to the Jets is never cool. So we got.
I thought you was just talking about how you like Robert Saleh.
I do like Robert Saleh, but it's about right now.
Wait, but you put me next to him?
Right now? I'm not trying to be next to the Jets in anything.
That's like being, man, like, she's so nice. I love her personality. Me go with her? No, I'm good. How would you suggest that?